So I've started What Happens on Vacation. You probably would have seen the whole intro about what I'm doing. I'm starting off with Jo's newest book simply because I kind of want to see how things are. I have read from her before, so I'm not too worried about reading her older works at this point. I kind of just want to see how this relates to what I remember of Love to Hate You, and then we're going to revisit Love to Hate You and all of that jazz, which obviously I would have explained by now. However, I'm about to continue reading on with this. My goal is only to get to page 50, which is like only that far in. So it's not very far in, but I'm just kind of taking this book slow, really enjoying it. I'm loving the fact that it's set in Joburg, which is obviously where I live. I'm only on page like 13, which is like chapter 3, so there's not much to say, but I will be continuing reading with this. I'm really excited because I think it's going to be great. And we'll see how that all unfolds. I am popping in to do a quick update of what happened on vacation. I haven't read really far. I'm only on page 54 at the moment, but I need to be on page like 250 today. So it's currently 3 o'clock. I'm home a bit early today because I have a headache due to my meds being changed. So that's what's happening at the moment. But I am going to sit down and read for the next little bit. I do have a movie that I need to attend tonight. That's only at like 8. I just need to determine when I need to leave here to get there on time. I'm really excited to pick this one up further. So far, I'm not like in love with it. As you can see, I did start tabbing, not a lot and not hectically, actually a little bit more recently I started doing that, but I'm gonna continue reading, seeing. It does feel like a little bit more of a slow burn book in terms of content, pacing, the works. We are following 2 characters. I don't know if I really described this book to you. We're following 2 characters. They are rivals at work. They're not necessarily enemies, but they're definitely rivals. At work, we follow Jagger, who is a fun column writer at a magazine company. He kind of does the stupid funny things. And then we follow Margaret, who is this very serious, writes about politics, writes about finance, journalist. And because they're such polar opposites in their writing, they have such different approaches to work. And the bad side is that they share a desk, or like a desk space. And so there's a lot of tension around them constantly. And Margaret doesn't believe that Jagger does a lot of work or works at all, and Margaret also believes that Jagger doesn't appreciate her work, and I think we're going to slowly learn that that's not necessarily the case. We've had some flirting. I can tell you what my tabs mean so far. So you'll see these like a purple. We'll go according to like what arrives first. So there's a purple one, which is just something that I really enjoyed, like a scene or whatever. Yellow is always funny. Orange is for important. Pink, romance, yellow, funny, as I mentioned, and I think those are the only colors I've used so far. I will probably update you if I use more colors, but I think right now I'm just gonna sit down, read, get through this book, because I have about 200 pages to read before I want to leave tonight.
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn.
Okay, so I made it to page 100 and it's definitely picking up so far and I'm really enjoying it. I definitely had some like giggling moments and stuff like that. I'm gonna go and take a nap because my headache is kind of getting the best of me at the moment. But because I've read so much already, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and maybe finish this today. Obviously it won't be the end of the world if I don't, but it would definitely help me a lot if I finish this. And so then I can like move forward with other books. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick little nap. And then I am going to continue on with this when I wake up. I wanted to pop in and update you on what happens on vacation. I'm currently on page 212 and I've made some really great progress. I kind of fell asleep last night and passed out for 14 hours and only woke up again this morning. But I am about to go ahead and finish this book off now. I have about 140 pages left to read, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. This has definitely been a very slow paced kind of book. I have gone through this and I've started making some annotations. I'm trying to find what I've done. I don't know if you can really see it, but like really simple ones, just to be able to create videos out of for work and stuff, because that's kind of also why I'm reading this. I read most of this during the day, obviously. I read about 100 pages at work today. So I'm gonna finish this off now. I wanna get done with this and move on to other books. But I really am enjoying this. I won't say I'm loving it, but I am enjoying it. I find this is a very slow burn romance, considering that we're on page 200 and the romance between our 2 main characters haven't really happened. But I really like the way that they're getting to know each other a bit more. I think that it's a lot more well-rounded in place of you know, this instant love that we often see in romances, or this really love to hate you kind of situation that instantly turns into love a couple pages down the line. At the moment we're really seeing our characters, it is one perspective, which is from Margaret's perspective, but we just kind of see her deal with her own insecurities and her own thoughts, and kind of learn stuff about herself as much as what she's learning about Jagger. But yeah, I am going to sit down, finish this off. I have my ASMR room ready to go, and then I'm gonna finish this and call it a day.
It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours.
Just finished this, and I'm really glad that I actually read this now. It's definitely been something that has been plaguing me that I haven't finished. But now I have, and I really enjoyed it. I do think it's different from her other works thus far. It's been a while since I read Love to Hate You, but I'm definitely excited to read that in the future, which you'll be actually seeing probably next in this vlog. But I definitely have seen some changes in her writing. Sometimes the text felt a little bit wordy for me, so I kind of felt like that should have maybe been toned down a little bit, especially because it's like a romance, and I kind of like my romance to not be too wordy. This book does deal with a lot of things, from stereotyping people in their careers to grief, to moving on after a tragic love story, and just kind of like a whole lot of things in life. And I think that's really great because it's such a good thing to put into a feel-good book, because it both spreads a message and makes you laugh and go at all the cute moments and stuff like that. I really enjoyed this one. I don't know what I'm going to rate it yet, but I'm thinking along the lines of a 4-star, because I really enjoyed this. As I said, I did find it a little bit wordy, but otherwise I actually enjoyed every moment of it. There were definitely some funny moments, some moments that I really enjoyed. Obviously a lot of romantic moments, which is to be expected from a romance. But yeah, I was a really big fan of this, so I'm really happy that I got to jump into this one, read it. I'm very much looking forward to reading her older books and comparing it to her newest and latest, because I do think that based on what I can remember from Love to Hate You, there's been a lot of character growth. I will say that a lot of her scenes aren't as smutty as what you get in today's romance books. There are definitely some smutty scenes and some explicit scenes, but I would say that in comparison to the more heartfelt moments, it isn't that bad. I do think, if I remember correctly, Love to Hate You had a lot more smutty scenes, but I will correct myself once I have read it. But yeah, this was a really great read and I really enjoyed myself. I look forward to creating some content around this one. So I may have low-key forgotten that I'm filming videos about Jo Watson, or a video about Jo Watson, but I have read 50 pages of Love You, Love You Not, and so far this one starts really, really interestingly. We follow Poppy, who is a actress, but not a bad one, but not a great one, and she kind of is just struggling at the moment. Like, she can't pay her bills, and she stays in the really crap part of town, and so she decides, well, she recently was a assistant to a CEO in one of her acting gigs, so she decides to try and see if she can't get a job as an assistant, and she gets there and it's just such a mess, so she ends up leaving. And then the guy, who is notoriously mean and horrible, not horrible to his clients, but like makes really tough decisions and stuff, decides to give her a chance, and so far has been really nice to her. So everyone hates him, but he's really nice to her so far. That happened in the first 50 pages. I'm excited to continue on. I say excited because I don't know what to expect from this. I always feel like Jo Watson's books are interesting. I'm definitely going to continue on with this one. So far nothing really crazy has happened. This guy just can't seem to get Poppy out of his mind. His name is Ryan, and yeah, we're going to keep reading this one and see how it goes. This one is quite thick. It's like over 400 pages, so we'll see how it all goes. So I didn't mention, but my goal for today is to get to page 150, so I have to read about 100 pages of this today. Maybe I'll read more, maybe I won't, it depends. I am homesick because I've had like a really big headache, and I'm worried that I'm getting ill from like the office and stuff, so I've decided to just take a step back and enjoy some home time. So I'm gonna give this a read, and then I will check in with you later.
Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure. But one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be
So it's come to my attention that I haven't really wrapped up my feelings with you regarding Love You, Love You Not by Jo Watson. This one was quite a behemoth of a book. It's probably one of the longest ones I've read from her. And I really enjoyed this one. I don't know, I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't want to rate romances according to stars because like it's so difficult. Like there are some bad ones for sure. And then there's just some ones that just make you feel the right kind of feelings for the book that you're reading. So like I can't compare this romance to like the Elsie Silver because they're two different kind of romances. I don't know, does that make any sense? But I really like this. This was definitely a lot more of a slow burn. Our characters only really got together towards the end of the book, which is something that I really like because I really felt like they got to know each other quite well in this one. I also like the fact that we had two perspectives in this. I don't think she does it anymore because her newest book, What Happens on Vacation, which you would have watched before this, you know, it's just from like one person. But I really like the fact that we had both because we could see them falling for each other and like not falling, you know, not telling each other about it, but like we knew they were in love with each other. And I don't know, there were some really gold moments. I will say there were probably less romantic moments in this one just because I felt like their relationship had to deal with a lot more aspects, like, you know, he's a CEO of a company, she's unemployed essentially, Ryan is also the guardian of a young girl, so like there's a lot more at play here than just, you know, getting together and, you know, getting all into the romance. But I really like this one. If I had to compare it to What Happens on Vacation, I can definitely tell there's like a theme amongst the books because this took place in the workplace. What Happens on Vacation happens between colleagues, and then I think this one is very similar to this one where it's also the CEO and a new employee or something along those lines. So there's definitely like a workplace drama, or like these books tend to have like that kind of grouping, and I do think she has others. I couldn't get hold of that series. There's like a very specific series because these are all standalones that could probably end up being in a similar series. So the one I'm talking about is Destination Love series, which I think has to do with friend, like a friend group. So that I would be interested to read. I think I might if I have the time. I'm gonna try and see if I can't get them as like ebooks or something, and maybe read just that series and give you my thoughts on just that series. Yeah, so far I really am enjoying her writing. I think it's really fun. I love the fact that they sit in South Africa. It makes it a lot more fun and a lot more accessible for someone who lives here, and like it kind of makes it feel like romance can happen on your doorstep, whereas in most of the books the romance tends to happen like in the UK or in the US or somewhere like not here. So it was really fun to read. This was set in Cape Town for any reference. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the fact that what I thought was going to be the miscommunication trope did not really end up being the topic I thought it was going to be. So this does deal with miscommunication. So I know some people hate that, so just be careful. But I like the direction this took, because it was a very important moment for both characters to realize something. Yeah, I'm not gonna go spew on for too long because I'm about to read Love to Hate You. I've read this before. This is probably like the very first Jo Watson I ever read in my life, and I loved it. I read it basically when I turned 18 almost, or at least in that year, and it is one of my favorite books to date. I don't know why. I really enjoyed this. So apparently, based on like what this book says, is that this came first and then this book came out. So I'm really excited. I think this was originally a Wattpad book and it was then published, which is why it says like read over 10 million times. But yeah, I'm really excited to jump into this one and really get stuck in my feels because I really am enjoying Jo Watson. I think she's quite a fantastic romance writer. I am interested to see like kind of what she does next, but I think without further ado, let's jump into this one.
Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life changes, just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I
this is me realizing as I'm editing my Joe Watson vlog that I never wrapped it up. And basically I loved Love to Hate You. It is still one of my favorite books by her to this date, and I'm just really excited that I got to reread it because I don't know, something about me doesn't like lend itself to rereading romances all too often, and I'm glad that I picked it up again because, you know, it reminded me of when I was reading it. I did have a different experience with it this time around, and because I'm not so much of a romance reader as I was back in the day, and now all of a sudden I am again, it's like I just refound a part of myself that I lost, which is I love happy endings. I love stories about love, as cheesy as that is. And you know, Joe Watson's books remind me so very much of things like rom-coms because they're just so lighthearted, they feel good. There are some moments that you really connect to, and then there are moments where you are like shouting at the main character for making these horrible decisions, or you know, not doing the right thing in like chasing down the person that they love. And you know, when that does happen, when they do that, you're like, yes, hell yeah, and then they end up together. And you know, I am someone who just loves the idea of a happy ending, and that's what Joe Watson's books provide, and I'm a big fan of her. I will say it, like, you know, I enjoyed her books, and I can definitely see myself picking up her next couple of releases as they come out because they're fun, and you know, I would recommend them easily to anyone who just wants a really good beachy summer read or like a holiday read because they're just so quick to go through. And as I said earlier in the vlog, where you know, it just makes it feel like love and happiness and happily ever afters can happen on your doorstep because they happen in South Africa, and they happen like, you know, in Love to Hate You they literally mentioned the M2, and I'm like, I drive that road so often, you know. So it's like, it just feels like a little bit of slice of hope knowing that it could possibly happen here. Obviously, you know, I'm in a relationship and everything, so obviously I do have my happy ending, but it just makes it feel a lot more possible when you read this. And I didn't realize that when I was younger, when I was reading this, well, Joe Watson for the first time, that's what it made me feel like. When I realized it was set in South Africa, I was like, oh my gosh. So I would definitely, if I had to choose my favorites out of this, I would say that I really enjoyed Love to Hate You the most, and then Love You, Love You Not, and What Happens on Vacation are kind of tied. But each book kind of deals with something a little bit different. As I mentioned, they are kind of like workplace romances, or you know, romances that take place with colleagues and rivals, or people that aren't in the beginning, you know, attracted to each other per se, or aren't really, you know, friends or whatever. Like, this isn't a friends to lovers kind of situation. They all have something that just doesn't work in the beginning, and then they work through it and it works out. Obviously it's a romance, but I really enjoy that aspect of it because I don't know, there's just something about workplace romances, from rivals to lovers, that just makes me so excited about life. That's definitely all my thoughts. If I had to recommend you which one to start with, if you're feeling like you're missing, if you're like in the southern hemisphere and you're like, oh my gosh, it's cold, I want the warmth, read What Happens on Vacation. It is such a great summery read. If you want to read something that is a little bit more than a romance, it has to do a lot more with families, feelings, finding yourself, read Love You, Love You Not. And then last but not least, if you just want a really banging good time, read Love to Hate You. I just love it to bits.
Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from